welcome to Wrestling Binge Face, where two friends binge watch seasons of Blockbuster TV shows, and they talk about it. I'm Adam McCoy.
And I'm Amanda Kathleen. Adam and I work in TV. We watch a lot of TV. If we were undercover vigilantes, we would stop the crime of hating TV.
Not on my watch.
Nope, not on my watch. That leads us to what we're binging this week, The Watchmen.
Watchmen.
And I'm not going to say season 1 because there's only going to be a season.
Yep.
So,
well,
it's a series.
There could...
Yeah.
Lindelof's like,
who knows?
You guys can do it without me if you want, but I'm out.
Right.
The creator is kind of
But they already said, like, we're not going to do it without him. So...
I don't think there's, like, a wave of people, like, demanding season 2. Let's put it that way.
It's a self-contained season.
Yeah.
It's fine.
Kind of.
Sure.
I mean, there's possibility for something to happen.
Mm-hmm.
But... And possibly not.
Ooh.
Mm.
Well, that leads us to some knowledge that needs to be dropped. Adam, there's so much happening.
If you listened last week, and it was like, I can't go into so much detail because there's so much about The Mandalorian.
Right.
There's just so much stuff about this. And my head kind of hurt.
Yeah.
Trying to put it all together.
Mm-hmm. Try watching it.
Try watching it. I remember watching the movie
right
in the theaters.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm a comic book guy.
Yeah,
kind of a nerd. But I had never heard of Watchmen when the movie came out.
Yeah.
I went into it like, oh, a superhero movie.
Right.
And I'm like, what the hell is going on?
Yeah.
What is this? So I read a little bit about it.
Right.
It's just a very odd concept and a kind of confusing concept, especially even the way the comic is told. The original comic, it's stuff that's happened in the past, led to what's happening now.
Also alternate realities.
Yeah, because it's set in, it's like Earth, but different things happen if they would happen. So this is based on the comic book series, the 1987 DC comic release of Watchmen, created by Alan Moore and Dave Gibbons. And it was created for HBO. Mm-hmm. Originally, Zack Snyder was on board. They were offering him the option to, help create the show.
Yes.
Because he did the film.
Right.
That fell through. Mm-hmm. Damon Lindelof came in. Hey, executive producer, writer.
Everything
went to him. And they made the show. That's what happened.
That's what happened in a nutshell.
You've already said it. There's not going to be season 2.
Right.
It did get, it got pretty good reviews. And people
got
enjoyed
really
it.
good reviews.
Right. Just not groundbreaking, I guess, enough.
But like HBO's standpoint, it should have sequels. It was that good that they should offer sequels. So obviously, it's up to the creative.
If Lindelof really had stayed in, they'd been fine with making it.
Yeah, 100%. Yes. Yeah, I don't think there wasn't enough viewership. I think it's a creative decision by him.
Okay.
Yeah.
The comic book in a nutshell. Mm-hmm. It's based on these original 1939, the Minutemen, these kind of vigilante not superheroes, vigilantes. Nobody has
no
powers at all. They have like borderline Hawkeye Avengers type of, like, they're humans.
Yeah.
In the comics, I will say, compared to the TV show, in the comics, they're a little more advanced and refined. So when somebody knows how to fight, they really know how to fight.
Right.
Like
they have skills.
Yeah, they have a lot of
train.
skills. Yeah.
It's like Batman. He trains, know.
So this is a really broad description of the original comic book series.
Okay.
These Minutemen come out in like 1939. Mm-hmm. Silk Spectre, comedian, all these people. Mm-hmm. Then they disband like 10 years later. They try to do some good, but things don't work out.
Right.
Flash forward to Richard Nixon, the new time, in the 80s.
Right.
Richard Nixon has served 4 terms at this point.
He's demolished terms.
So there's like these vigilantes start kind of come back. They bring back some of the original vigilantes, and they're coming back. And there's the Cold War is going on. There's a lot of nerves. People are worried. This scientist leaves his watch in this gamma radiation thing, and he gets blown up. They think he's dead, and he comes back in a blue form of a human with all these magical powers. He's like Mr. Manhattan. He can do anything. He can reshape objects. He has the power of nuclear power. He can travel through time in his head.
Right.
This whole thing. And then you have these vigilantes who have no powers. So you go from the most powerful being in any comic book ever created.
Right.
And a fat guy who wants to be Owlman.
Right.
All of a sudden, this former vigilantes, one of them gets killed. The comedian gets killed.
Mm-hmm.
Turns out it's all a big ploy just to distract them from Vite, who is another former vigilante.
Right.
Who's trying to save the world by faking an alien invasion of a giant squid to attack New York.
Right. It's so nobody nukes.
Everybody
the whole
will be
world.
so scared of this other thing
it's
that it'll
so
bring peace.
The Cold War like chills the fuck out.
Yeah. And then Nixon's like, hey, Dr. Manhattan, why don't you go do some work over here in Vietnam and get rid of some of these people because you're so powerful. And he does it.
He does it. He does what he says.
Mm-hmm. He wipes out a bunch of people over there. Yeah, there's peace and murder.
Vietnam becomes like the next state of the U.S.
And Nixon serves his 5th term.
Mm-hmm.
And then everybody else who's in with this group of vigilantes and ex-heroes are like, Mr. Dr. Manhattan, you gave us all cancer. And they say that he did that, so he runs to Mars.
He's just hanging
to get
out
away
Mars.
from all of them.
Yeah.
That's pretty much how the original comic book series goes.
Right.
And so this is not really a sequel to the original. It kind of is. Lindelof calls it a remix because he's doing some elements from it, creating whole new characters that are in it.
Okay.
That's how he positions it. This is actually not the first time that they've tried to make a TV show out of Watchmen.
Oh, really?
This blew my mind. So in the early 90s, Terry Gilliam from Monty Python, if anybody knows.
Oh, yeah.
He attempted to adapt this into a series for HBO, and HBO was in the works to do this.
Him?
They convinced, he could see this whole story. It was going to be this big epic, production. It had to be a TV show because it was too much for a movie. Mm-hmm. So it went into pre-production, and they actually cast Robin Williams as Rorschach.
Shut up.
Jamie Lee Curtis as Silk Spectre.
Oh, my goodness.
Gary Busey as the comedian.
No.
And Kevin Costner as Night Owl. So they were all cast. This was going to happen. And ultimately, it just all failed because they couldn't get a big enough budget. It was just, it became too big, and they realized we can't afford to do this.
Oh my God.
Probably because also the effects at the time would have cost too much.
Yeah.
But can you imagine Robin Williams?
No.
Kevin Costner? It's crazy.
It's like a fish called Wanda.
I wish they would have been
but Watchmen.
I wish they had started this, and they're like, we got 3 weeks of production, and then they canceled it, and we could find the film of that. Wouldn't that be fantastic?
I mean, it's the same thing about Nicolas Cage being Superman. Like,
who
would have thought, man? Who puts these things together, bro?
That was all taken out of context. Don't get me started on the whole Superman thing.
I won't. This is gonna be a long episode, so I'm not gonna get you started. So that's a very confusing drop knowledge for you. Mm-hmm. It's gonna get even more confusing because I don't know. We don't even know where to begin. So this is your spoiler. If you haven't seen it, you should watch it. If you haven't seen the movie, you should watch that at the very least. Or I guess you could just Wikipedia and read about it.
Or read the comic.
That's what
Maybe the original thing that started this whole...
Anything. Do your research before you go into this, kids.
Oh, also, lastly, I forgot to mention this part. Mm-hmm. They did, in the early 2000s, they released like 9 prequels to the original Watchmen. And then in 2012, they made a sequel called Doomsday Clock, which this series ignores completely. And I'm not even going to get into it.
I didn't even know they did that.
I'm not going to even get into any of that. So they, I think it was after the movie was released in 2007.
There was probably like interest for it, so let's do it.
And that also happened. I know that the reprints of the original, like they started reprinting the original Watchmen after the movie came out because everyone was so like
interested in it.
And they wanted to just learn about what they just watched on the big screen.
Right.
So there has been some other adaptations of this, and this is just another remix of it all.
Right. Yeah. Okay.
So buckle in.
It's going to get real confusing. Okay. Light overview of the Watchmen series. 34 years after the events of the graphic novel / movie, whichever you've experienced, Vigilantes have been outlawed due to their violent methods. Because, they're going to take down a motherfucker. So it sets up in Tulsa, Oklahoma, where a white supremacist group, the 7th Cavalry, has been inspired by Rorschach's writings that he sent to the news, an alt-right news publication. And they've gotten their hands on it. And they've decided that they're going to wage war against the minorities and the police. And they're going to cause war. And they want to get Dr. Manhattan's powers
and use those
and use it to kill people to make, I guess, a whiter world.
Harken back to Hitler a little bit.
Yeah. So that's pretty much the premises. That's a light premises.
Yeah.
On the show. It definitely touches on stuff that's happening now that's resurfacing, like race, class, power type situations. Robert Redford being president. If only, right?
2020.
But the main character obviously is Regina King. She plays Angela Abar, who's Sister Knight. That's her vigilante name.
Yes.
So she used to be a police officer. She's actually from Vietnam. She was born in the U.S. and then they moved to Vietnam, or she was born in Vietnam.
She was born in Vietnam, yes. Her parents are both from America.
Right.
And Vietnam became the 51st state.
Right.
Colonized by, Americans. So she was just...
Right, so her parents were there colonizing it. She was born.
With her.
Yeah. Her parents died. She was left orphaned. And then she came back to Tulsa as a police officer.
Yes.
And I guess when it starts, it's like 3 years
after the White Night.
Yeah, after they had a police massacre in Tulsa. Yeah. And so all the police have to wear masks now to hide their identity. And she's no longer a police person.
She owns a bakery that's never open.
Right, but she's a vigilante by night. So there's a lot of people who were police officers who quit, but are now vigilantes.
Yeah.
It's a very interesting concept. It definitely mixes in what's happening today. The first episode confused the shit out of me. I literally had to Google about the squid because I don't think the squid is in the movie because I don't remember that
part. Yeah.
I just remember them doing like a big thing in New York. Like millions of people had to die to stop the Cold War. So I had to look up the squid. I had to figure out like why these motherfuckers are dressing as Rorschach. So I had to go back and read about it.
Was also a little confusing because he wrote the book years before, and all of a sudden it just got picked up. I don't think there was ever like any racial tendencies in his world. They somehow started twisting this stuff.
Yeah,
and they didn't elaborate on that enough, in my opinion.
No, I think the problem was that he sent it to a right-wing news publication because I think he thought they would publish it, his writings, before the New York thing happened and before he got killed.
Oh.
So I think he just sent it to them because he knew like they would want to publish for corruption. But I think it also ties into the Robert Redford thing with Ozymandias. Literally tells Robert Redford he's going to be president and he had to do all this stuff to stop the Cold War. I love the way this was done though. Like the edits of everything were fantastic. The Minutemen TV show interacting with what was happening was fantastic. It's
kind of a commentary within a commentary on certain things, and it's interesting.
The writing is amazing. It's amazing writing, even though you're trying to figure out what the fuck's going on. It's real good,
and it's enough that give you enough at a time to kind of keep you going and still guessing. And not like frustrated, like I'm done, I give up because I don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
For me, it took a little while to kick in.
Right.
I think maybe in my personal, what happened with me is I heard a lot of people talk about how fantastic it was.
Oh,
And I started watching it, I'm like, okay.
Okay.
That's pretty good.
When does it get fantastic?
Waiting for it. It's going to kick in anytime now. But yeah, but I agree. The writing and just the whole storytelling style was very interesting.
It's so good.
It was more interesting than just a flat out. Here's what happened now, and then this, and then this, and then this. So that was a kind of a new breath of life into a concept like this.
I think Regina King, just like she's my favorite. Like she's fantastic. Like her character is fantastic. I mean, they have such good actors. I mean, Jeremy Irons is fucking freaking out on
he's
the moon of
fantastic.
Jupiter.
Yeah.
Like he does a fantastic job. And then Jean Smart, who plays the Silk Spectre. Mm-hmm. First of all, I love her anyway from Legion, but she's a great actress.
Not Designing Women.
No.
She was in that. That was what I didn't know her from.
I'm too young to watch that show, Adam. We all know you're old. Come on.
Tim Blake, the guy who plays the Looking Glass.
Yeah. He's
fantastic
great too.
job.
I love him also. The whole cast
Don
was
Johnson.
Great.
Don Johnson does a great job.
I know, even though he's only in it for like
a few flashback scenes. Everybody. You get to see Louis Gossett Jr. back again. Mm-hmm. That's great.
Everything's great. The whole cast is fantastic. Mm-hmm. They cast it great. The writing's great. I even love the idea that Dr. Manhattan was like a human undercover.
Spoiler alert. Jeez.
I told you there was going to be spoilers. Mm-hmm. Gosh. That was fantastic. The whole story was real good. Real good.
Yeah.
Even like her grandfather, I think that episode of her going through the memories of her grandfather after taking the nostalgia pills was a fantastic episode.
Yeah, that's probably amazing. My favorite episode.
It was done really well.
I think the reason that's my favorite episode is the reason why the rest of the series didn't appeal to me as much.
Oh, really?
His character, when he becomes...
it's so when
interesting. You see his character
right
becoming the Hood of Justice and how effective he is. Like, he's going through guys with guns. He's like...
Yeah.
Like, that's what I want the vigilantes to be.
Yeah.
I wanted at least one of the vigilantes to be like, like, that's...
Well, they also didn't give them a lot of scenes where they were like...
That's
fighting.
I think that's what I'm saying. Like, I was waiting for some of that.
Mm.
Because to be a vigilante, you want them to be. These were like kind of like the C team. Like, I'm the Looking Glass. I can make you. I can see what you did.
What do you want? They're not in New York. They're in Tulsa. The one thing I'm very confused about is when they're trying to get Regina King back from taking all the nostalgia pills. Mm-hmm. What's the elephant for?
Well, I think personally, elephants are known for their memory. Like, an elephant never forgets. And it's all about brain. They have to essentially swapping out brain fluid.
All right.
So I'm thinking this elephant is this huge animal with a very impressive brain.
Okay.
And they're able to use that. That's what they're getting the fluid. Because they say we have to have a host who can give you this whatever. And she thinks it's her grandfather the whole time. But then she walks in. It was weird. It's like an elephant. They never explain it.
No, they never explain it. And it was like, an elephant? Why an elephant?
Because they never forget.
That's a
I think that's a pretty sound reasoning there.
Like, not even a person. Like,
no.
Straight up elephant. I was very confused.
It's a lot of brain goo.
I was like, okay. Sure. Did you have any pet peeves on it?
Besides the lack of action on a lot of things.
You wanted more action?
I mean, not really any other pet peeves. I did. I enjoyed it. I wasn't like enamored with it.
Right.
It took a little while to kick in for me. It kept my interest, but not like, oh boy, I gotta wait. I can't wait to see what happens next.
It's really well done. It was really good.
Yeah, I mean, and acting wise, everybody did a great job. The most. What do you give the most bizarre moment to?
Oh, the most bizarre moment? Oh, there's so many. I don't know. The elephant is the only thing that's coming to mind. Because there's just no explanation for it.
I think for me, when Jean Smart's character, the Silk Spectre 2, she's in love with Dr. Manhattan.
Yeah.
She's giving this message to him in these Mars phone booths where people can give messages to him, right? She misses him, you can tell.
Yeah.
We'll talk about that. And then she goes back to her hotel room and pulls out the gigantic blue dildo.
Oh, yeah.
And kind of stares at him.
She misses him.
And I'm like, that's bizarre. Like,
I mean, he doesn't have a regular size, so she has to carry it in a gigantic case.
Because we saw... Anyway. It was a little overkill,
That's a mystery.
That's a mystery. So that was definitely like, whoa, okay.
I get it. She's lonely. She misses him.
She misses him.
Yeah. She misses all of him.
And then
I would say in the original Watchmen, obviously Hooded Justice is not like African American. Right? Like, or nobody knows who he is. I don't know if
anyone knows.
So that's an interesting turn that they put on him because he has to wear like beige makeup around the eyes for the hood. I thought that was really interesting concept. I'm sure it's not from the original.
Probably not, because I don't think they didn't even really go into much detail in the original about the original Minutemen. Like they didn't. That wasn't a huge part of it. It was all about the ones later.
Right.
So I doubt that was part of it. I haven't read the whole thing.
I think that's an interesting turn because he does wear like a noose around his neck, and it's very like
I think what's
relevant.
Really talking about the whole Watchmen series that's coming, or like the documentary series that's going on within the show. And they have the scene where he's being interrogated by the police. Right. And they show him take his hood off, and it's a white guy. And it's like, well, obviously he's a white guy.
Yeah.
That happens later. So I think that was a good bit of writing there.
I thought that was very interesting. I was like, that's pretty smart of him to think of that. It's just all been pretty smart. Like
besides the elephant,
which I was very confused. What was your favorite episode besides the nostalgia pills episode?
That was definitely my favorite one.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's by far. I really like the Vite on the when he's working.
Like that whole concept.
I like that whole concept. That was really interesting to me. Other than that, they all kind of blend together.
I really liked Looking Glass episode where you find out
his origin story. That was a really good one too. Yeah,
that one was really good. Also, Regina's origin story. Also, you go to Vietnam and you get to see a little bit of her background.
Maybe that's it. Like I think it was more the origin. Like I loved like the Looking Glass one. His origin story was really interesting. When she took the nostalgia pills and you see his origin story, that was interesting. Yeah. I think maybe it's just I like Regina King, but I think focusing on her character, right? Like to me, that was a little everything that was happening around her, right, was like, big and amazing, and then her character's kind of like,
I mean, but also like she's trying to figure out what the fuck's going on.
Yes, I guess you're looking at it through her, like you're kind of in her world, like okay, I don't know what's going on either. Yeah. Okay.
I mean, she's trying to figure it out too. Yeah. Like she's like, I don't know what the fuck's going on. What's happening here?
He's my grandfather. What?
And then the episode with her and Dr. Manhattan, like getting into a relationship was very interesting.
When they meet in the bar and everything.
I knew it was coming. I was like, her husband's Dr. Manhattan. Before they went into that episode. Yeah. I was like, he's Dr. Manhattan. She knows.
Yeah. But he doesn't, but she does.
He doesn't. But it was all very interesting. But yeah, I like the Looking Glass episode. I think that one's probably my favorite.
It was, that was very well done.
Because it's interesting to find out his perspective, especially him being so close to the event that happened. Yeah.
And when you see him for the first few episodes, the way he is, and how much it affected him, and then also how he was so uber religious in the first, and this kind of scrawny religious.
And now he's in some like support group for people who were in the event, and that whole event thing was very interesting. But
he's still lying about how much he's moved on because he still can't go anywhere without the mirrored mask to keep things out of his psychic field. Yeah, whatever.
Bingeability. What do you think?
I'm gonna give it a 4.
I'm
solid 4.
So I really like the show as far as bingeability because we did binge it. We didn't watch it week by week. I'm gonna give it a 2.
Okay, wow.
Because it was freaking hard to watch. Like I took several days to watch it because it's a lot going on. It's a lot of with society and like what's happening now.
Yeah, it's kind of heavy
because we live in a society type situations.
I think maybe I may be inflating my number because I do think the last 3.5 to 4 episodes I was a lot more into it. Boom,
I think
boom.
Once it hits the story of like they're trying to capture Dr. Manhattan and this is what's happening.
You realize what's going on.
those are much easier to binge than the rest of it, because it's a very hard binge.
Yeah,
it's very.
It did
serious.
take me. I did not watch all in one setting.
Yeah,
they were already all out before I started watching it.
Right.
So it was, I could have watched them all at the same time.
Right.
It did take me a couple days to watch them.
It's real hard. It's serious.
But I do know the last 3 episodes, I really got into wanting to see what happened next.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
that.
It's a much lighter tone, I think, towards the end of it, because it's telling you the story, so it's picking up a little bit.
Yeah.
Everything before it, it's laying down this shit's happening. You're like, whoa.
I don't think I'd give it a 2 overall.
I would definitely give it a 2. It's a hard binge.
I would give the first 3 episodes a 2 probably. Mm-hmm. Last one, now that I think about it, a 4. So I'd probably average out honestly to about a 3.
Yeah.
But I still couldn't give it a 2. I think it was still interesting enough where I wanted to, because it did have that, what's going on? How did that happen? Who is it? It was enough interest in me to want to watch the next episode. But to your point, it was a lot to take in.
It's a lot to take in, and I think that's why I'm giving it a 2. It's not that I don't like it. It's just it's really hard to binge, so the bingeability of it is low.
I totally get it
because of the hard hitting life. Why are we here?
Yeah, contemplating the big issues.
Contemplating the big issues.
Speaking of big issues,
ooh.
So in the show, Regina King's character. We keep saying Regina King's character. We could just
it's sisterhood. I know.
Sisterhood. Sister Knight.
Sister Knight.
Sister Knight. Which that was a great little backstory when you saw
Sister Knight, and then also
how she got the name was from the
The Hooded
blaxploitation.
That was cool.
Movie that her parents wouldn't let her watch. It was kind of cool.
So her grandfather and her character would be Sisterhood, because he's the Hooded Knight and she's the sister.
Yes.
Sister,
there you go. Yeah.
Sister Knight and he's Hooded Justice. So Sisterhood.
There you go.
Yeah.
So in this, she meets Dr. Manhattan.
Yes.
And she's she doesn't think it's really him.
Right, because they have a Dr. Manhattan festival.
And then he kind of proves it to her, and he's like, look, we're going to get together.
Right.
But in 10 years, it's going to end horribly.
Right.
And he keeps convincing her. And
yeah,
she's like, sure. Not knowing that had to happen to save everything.
Right.
Would that be something you would do if some supernatural being came in
and was like,
hey, we're going to have a great time. It's going to last 10 years.
It is going to end horribly.
And then it's going to end horribly.
I'd probably be like, no, thank you. I don't want anything to end horribly. But also, he would know that we would get together. So it's it's inevitable, right?
He knew it was going to happen anyway?
Yeah, yeah.
But did he? He did.
He did.
So I'm saying,
because he kept going
what's wrong with her?
Because he kept going you're gonna go on a date with me. She's like, I'm not gonna go on a date with you. And by the end of their conversation, she's like, I'm not go on a date with you. So it'd be one of those I don't want to be with you. And then he'd be like, come on, you know you want to be with me. I'd be like, no. And we would just end up together. I'd be like, how the fuck did I get here?
I don't even remember this happening.
Did you roofie my drink?
Yeah, 4 times. So I thought it was whenever he does, take a human form, going through the bodies, and they pick the bodies. I was a little she was very hesitant to pick that body.
Well, I think she didn't want to be like, hey, because his character, he was white, and then he became Dr. Manhattan. So I'm assuming she just didn't want to be like, I don't want to pick. I don't know where you fall in the spectrum of race. So here are your options.
I thought one her father, when they show her father for the brief bit, physical features of her father, the one who played her father, look very similar to the actor who played him. So I was wondering if there's a little bit of because even when she opened the door, she looked at it for a little, it was kind of long. It was an odd, I guess, I don't know. It was a weird, I don't know.
I feel like it has more to do than race and her father. I didn't get the whole father thing, but also
he's a blue. At this point he was blue.
I don't think it doesn't matter.
I don't think she'd be like, he's not gonna want to do this,
right?
Even though he's lived on Mars. So
right.
I don't know. I thought that was and it could be nothing, but I was like, that was because they have very similar features.
Yeah, yeah.
The actors who played both.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. It could be nothing, but
I think it was probably nothing. But then again, they do say you do marry
that's
your parents. So
it's maybe that's part of it. She's like, we won't get together unless you look like my dad.
Can you just look like my dad, please? Thank you very much.
But couldn't he just manifest to look like a human body?
He did.
Like
he saw the person and he manifested.
Okay. Like I guess he wanted to get her approval.
They picked the dead people because they were dead and they could use his social security. Okay. Come on. Be a detective.
I mean, he couldn't just manipulate somebody to look like a social security number.
He's not that smart. He created the people on Jupiter based off of people he knew as a kid.
That was an interesting story, too. It was weird. What you saw us doing, child, is perfectly natural. It's perfectly natural. Now, here's a Bible.
Here's a Bible. We can't have kids.
But boy, do we love trying. And you saw some of that, didn't you?
I was like, okay. Hey, that's an awkward one that I was very confused by. I will definitely say that. That was definitely confusing.
That was a weird twist.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So, Adam, I know you like to stump Amanda. Mm-hmm. But I'm going to stump Adam this time.
All right, bring it on.
You love vigilantes so much.
Yeah.
Batman. If you were a vigilante, what would your vigilante name be?
What would my name be? Mm-hmm. That's a really hard one. Too bad I hadn't thought about this my entire childhood. Oh. I'm joking. It would have to be something not over the top, flamboyant. Mm-hmm. Like Batman.
What were you thinking?
Yeah, what's that? Oh, that's a tough one.
Ooh, I got him.
It'd be like, I couldn't say Nightwing because there's already a Nightwing.
There's already a Nightwing, yeah.
Yeah. I think it would be Dave.
There he is. There's Dave.
Shh.
Here to save us.
It's Dave.
I'm Dave.
Or James. Yeah, I don't think you need you let the moniker come to you.
Okay.
You don't come. It's just like you don't want to make your own nickname. Like, hey, they call me Double Stack. Guys, that's my nickname, right? Everyone start calling me that. No, you want people to think of it for you. Like Batman didn't come up with his own name, right?
Yeah, he dressed as a bat.
The Joker,
because that's what scared him.
In the new movie, didn't come up with the Joker. Somebody called him that. So you want someone else to. So then I'll push it back to you. If I were a vigilante, what would you call me?
I would call you the man with the average name.
Perfect.
Because you want to go by Dave.
That's right.
So
Dave.
You want to know what my vigilante name would be?
Please.
Okay. So.
Sister Night. No,
and in the vein of that, I'm gonna take back some language for the ladies. I'm gonna use it in a feminist sort of way. Empowered. My name would be Cunt Punch.
Wow.
Right?
Okay, yeah.
That's good, right?
Mom, when I grow up, I want to be just like Cunt Punch.
Don't you ever say that word around me. That's a foul word.
No, it's empowering. Take it back, Mom. Take it back.
Because I'm a cunt and I will punch you.
So can I take that name now? I changed my answer.
You can't take it. No, I'm taking it back. I'm taking the name back.
Okay, all right.
I'm making it right for the ladies.
I think it would have a different appeal if
you were that. Yeah. I think you would have a PR problem.
Yeah.
Dave and Cunt Punch. Together.
The dynamic duo.
We are vigilantes. So, Dave.
Yes.
What are we watching next week?
We're going to switch gears a little bit.
A little bit?
To a Netflix show called Lock and Key.
Ooh.
Which I'm a little confused on. Because
the trailer is also very confusing.
It's kind of like when I first saw it, I'm like, oh, it's a kid's teen show.
Right.
And maybe it still is. But then all of a sudden there's a lot of blood at one point and a face. Some stuff happens. It was a little intense for younger kids. But
isn't it a young adult book?
Young adult, yeah. I was thinking when I first saw it, it seemed like more like, oh, it's kind of like a Goosebumpsy type of thing. And then I think it's a little step up from that.
More His Dark Materials type situation.
Yeah. Even more so than that, I think.
So in March, we're doing books to TV. So that's what we're binging in March.
Can I tease a little bit of knowledge on that?
Yes, please.
Do you know who wrote the Lock and Key?
Amanda doesn't because she doesn't read.
Okay, so I can't remember what the pen name is. But it's actually Stephen King's son. And he didn't want anybody to know that when he was writing this. and I saw a picture of him. I'm like, it looks like Stephen King. People were gonna figure it out, dude. You look just like your dad with a beard. People are gonna
find out.
So okay, so he's made a name for himself in his own, doing kind of horror, not like super horror like his dad does, but kind of more along the lines of this.
Right.
I guess more young adult type horror. Of thing. Mm-hmm. So I'm excited to watch it. I've never read anything about it, but seeing this, knowing that Stephen King's son, which he has his own name, which I don't know. Maybe that's why he didn't want people to know he's his son.
Stephen King's son.
So yeah, so he wrote that, and that'll be interesting, I think.
Yeah. It looks interesting. We'll see how it is. I don't read, so I don't know.
You don't or you can't?
I can't.
Okay. Letter's hard.
Thank you guys for listening. If you enjoyed this episode, please like, subscribe, and share. If you want to leave us a comment about how you were also very confused and you didn't know what the fuck was going on and you turned it off halfway because you were like, I give ups. Life is hard. Let us know.
Yeah. Or if you want to start making our own line of Cunt Punch t-shirts, let us know.
Oh, yes. Cunt Punch. Coming to a store near you. Thank you guys, and we'll see you bingers next week.
Bye. Bye.